Hi, everyone, and welcome in to Joshing Around Milwaukee. Usually we have another Josh Albrecht with me today. Don't need him. Very excited for today's episode with our guest from AntetokounMPros, Nemo Ruparel. Nemo, thank you so much for being here, man.
Thanks for having me.
So, Nemo, I'm very excited. Props. We always talk about if you're bringing things to the show, you know it's going to be a great episode. But I always like to start with you telling people who don't know you, don't know the story. Obviously, they should be if they're not familiar with Giannis, Thanasis, Alex, the whole family, and the store itself, if you haven't been there yet. But tell us, what you do with the store and kind of your journey of how you got here.
Yeah, so I'm the store director for AntetokounMPros. I got brought on with the family July of 2023. So from July 2023 till about early October is the build-out stage of things. So I helped put the store together in a sense of bringing it to life. So initially it was gravel and a construction site. So we built it out, got the fixtures, got the layout, got the product from Greece, so everything kind of came to be. But in a few months' time, we were able to put the store together. I oversee the operations, so the day-to-day stuff, the online, presence. We have a website, AntetokounBros.us, so we fulfill out of Milwaukee as well. A little bit of everything. My journey, being born and raised in Milwaukee, I, went to school, MPS, Milwaukee Public Schools my whole life. Went to MATC, UW Milwaukee, went for marketing and business. Through that journey, I worked for Foot Locker, worked for Best Buy, professional sales, a little bit of everything. And then I kind of dabbled into this where it became a really cool and fun opportunity to build something out and be a part of a brand and a family within the community.
Yeah, so tell that story. I'm sure you've had to tell a million times, but that's kind of how did you get chosen or meet up or approach them? Kind of tell the story of how you and the family came together to be able to form all of this.
Yeah, so the brand has been around for several years. We had an online presence and a physical store in Greece and Athens before this one kicked off here. Part of this, like with Best Buy, I was in the professional sales side of things. So I went to high-end homes. I went to new subdivisions. I went to businesses, a lot of the high-end profiles as well. So I ended up doing a lot of the Bucks players' homes over time.
Sure.
Which was kind of cool, full stories.
Yeah.
Like I actually did Giannis's home many years ago, which is really, really cool to kind of see and experience it on a different level. Talk to him. Mariah was really cool.
Yeah.
Some years go by, and they were looking at opening up a store, which I actually had no idea that the store was going to be built out or open. And we're part of the trade hotel, and even at that point, I didn't know what the trade hotel actually, what it was.
Yeah.
So LinkedIn is actually kind of where it kind of kicked off. I was kind of on the back end of things, looking for opportunity, but I didn't know what. I didn't want to do retail per se.
Sure.
But we had some good conversations. Went back and forth a little bit, and it was a really cool kind of understanding of what they're looking at doing. Being able to be a part of something where we're building it from the ground up in Milwaukee in the U.S. here, which is really cool. So I think it was kind of a fresh and challenging start. And yeah, LinkedIn, funny enough.
Yeah, of all ways, and it's always so interesting, and sometimes as simple as just that of how things come together. And now you're doing things with the store, and there's much more to just the store though for you. And tell us a little bit about what else you do because you're a big sneakerhead, which we've had a few on the show before, but kind of tell us about that passion, how that works into the store, and what that means for you, because you got some side projects you do too.
Yeah, so I have a company and brand called Milwaukee Swap. That started off in 2012. I'm 36 now, but I've been collecting as soon as I started working. Boston Store back in the day, I don't know if you remember Boston Store.
Yeah.
But I worked there part-time in high school, started accumulating some money, and started buying some shoes. Before that, in the 90s, the era of Jordan and Pippen and all those guys, I always wanted those shoes growing up, but we never had them. So my goal was to, at some point, save up and, start buying, those types of shoes that I wanted, growing up. So it became something where instead of buying one pair, I was trying to buy multiple and try to buy every release that came out. And it just became a thing. And I realized there's a lot of people that were in the community that weren't represented back then for the sneaker community. So in 2012, I started the Milwaukee Swap, and I started meeting like-minded people. And my passion became a business, and it just kind of grew where more and more interest of shoes, but also with basketball, culture of sneakers, music, and kind of all came to be essentially. I held Wisconsin's first sneaker convention, which I saw a lot more people kind of come together from the Midwest. So it was a cool experience. All that kind of tied into what we're doing here at the store now too, where I love shoes. So we have Giannis's shoes here. These are his size 17s, which are really cool. But Nike, I'm a big Nike fan. I'm a big basketball fan.
Yeah.
So being able to sell his shoes inside the store is really cool. But upcoming in this, in the summer months, we have the Freak 8s coming out. So we'll be one of the first ones to have that in store. And a part of all this too in the community, we work with MPS. So we have an upcoming event, essentially April 29th at the Barrett Center. There's about 10 high schools involved in MPS that are going to be doing a 3D shoe printing contest. So AntetokounBros, myself, and Moto3 are going to be some judges within it. And then
Very cool.
we're going to have Visit Milwaukee out there as well. But the kids are building mini 3D shoes, essentially, with some kind of like backstory of reasoning of why they're creating that shoe. It's not going to be branded or anything like that, but it's just a cool piece, keep them active, engaged, but also kind of see what sparks their interest to see if there's any opportunity in the future for them.
Yeah, I mean, and also show the passion, right? I mean, obviously, you through Milwaukee Swap, you're talking about the passion you had and what you formed and how it's affected the community. Obviously, we're well aware of what the Antetokounmpo family and what they've brought to the community. We're going to get to some of those stories on the other side here. Stay with us on Joshing Around Milwaukee. We'll be right back. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Joshing Around Milwaukee. We're having an awesome time here with our guest, Nemo Ruparel from AntetokounBros, and awesome story. It's just so funny hearing how this all came to be for you, Nemo. But before we went to break, I kind of teased it a little bit, talking about just the impact that someone can have in a city. You grew up here. You literally from, as you said, grade school all the way through college, going to UW Milwaukee. You know what it's about. You're making your own impact here, which is awesome. And then, just tying that into the impact that Giannis has made. And obviously a lot of people know what he's done off the court, but you've gotten to experience that, or on the court, you've gotten to experience it off the court. Tell us a little bit of just some examples that you've gotten to be a part of seeing how Milwaukee has grown with the Antetokounmpo family.
Yeah, I mean, just being born and raised here, you kind of see it from the Bradley Center days all the way to now Pfizer Forum, where, back in the day with the Bradley Center, you go to an event and game, that's the only reason you came downtown. Now it's like people come to the Deer District, they hang out, have drinks, go with their families, go on a run. So, I mean, that aspect of things being more safe and just more enjoyable in the area is really cool to see on a day-to-day basis. Having kids myself, this is a place that I come down on weekends and hang out, or, we go to different events and not worry about like rushing to get out. It's just like a nicer feeling, right?
Yeah.
But on a different lens, we grand opened our store in October of 2023. That's a cool example where a lot of people didn't know the store was going to come to be. It kind of happened like it was announced several days before, and it just became this really cool and big kind of ordeal, right? When we launched the store, we had people lining up, waiting all day. And initially, Giannis, Thanasis, Alex were going to come through, a different entrance and kind of get, driven in through the back end and essentially, just kind of set up shop for the meet and greets. However, they wanted to change it up and give the fans more of an experience and just kind of, give back a little bit to the community in the sense of a different perspective. They came walking down the street right into the front door, which is really cool. So there's hundreds of fans that got to see them and interact with them before we even opened up. And even after the fact, they signed a bunch of autographs, took some pictures, things like that. And then at the end of it, we were running low on time, but they signatured up a bunch of the images that we had. And they went out and kind of handed it out and dispersed it amongst, hundreds and thousands of fans outside that couldn't make their way into the store. So it was a safe and cool, experience, but it was something where everybody respected it. Nobody was fighting and things like that. So it was a really cool moment to kind of experience that. But Milwaukee in general, like it's, now on the map. I have a lot of family in London where they knew, being my family, they know where Milwaukee is because of us. But back in the day, we used to go visit, Europe, and people ask, where you from? American accents, where are you guys from? For many years, people didn't know where Milwaukee or even Wisconsin was. You had to say maybe I was an hour away from Chicago was kind of the example, which in the moment it kind of made sense. But now with Giannis, being the global image and having a presence here in Milwaukee, a big presence, Milwaukee's on the map. You have jerseys from Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis wearing them. In Greece, obviously, and there's in London. You can go to Tokyo, you can go to Kenosha, you can go to down the street.
Yeah.
Everybody's wearing a Giannis jersey and a Bucks jersey now, which is really cool.
Yeah, and for you running the store, you also kind of have to balance that because the brand is not. I mean, obviously, there's a store local here by Pfizer Forum, but the brand is a global brand, right? And that was like a big thing. So, how much of that for you do you have to handle on the side of Greece as well?
So yeah, exactly. We have it's a global brand. It's a global image. The family's known everywhere, which is really cool and really great. We have 2 stores in Greece. We have the one here in Milwaukee. We ship globally. So Milwaukee, AntetokounBros.us is the US side of things. AntetokounBros.com is the global. So whether you're in Japan, whether you're in Mexico or wherever, we can accommodate. But on our side of things, we work close to our team in Greece because a lot of the stuff, if not everything, is imported from Greece, which is really cool. So it's either designed in Greece or made in Greece. Going forward, we're going to have other things coming up as well, but this is something where we have to work closely with them on whether it's design, the size side of things as well. We have taller, bigger people in the U.S. We have things that are smaller. We have to accommodate accordingly for our demographic. So we work really close with them on a daily basis. And then also, too, on the flip side of it is something where, our styles are different. We don't, the fits are different. The colors might be different. So we have a little bit different of variables for the U.S. as opposed to Greece, but we work really closely together.
That's so cool. So when if you're having a daily conversation, how many times, because you said every day that you're having to work through them, which is kind of a unique experience, right? There aren't a lot of people that are running stores here that are having to take, information from a different country and bring it back. Is that in the work that you've done kind of with your own brands and work? Is that a unique experience? Did that take a while to get used to?
Yeah. I mean, you have to realize for the most part, unless it's daylight savings time, it's either a 7 or 8 hour time difference.
Yeah.
So, that's in the business side of the world, that's a whole different day, right? So there's times where it might be, 11, noon here, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever the case might be. That's end of their day. The one thing I discovered over these years is a lot of times in Greece and Europe in general, a lot of them work in the evenings, or they have later days. So their starts and ends are a little bit different on the business side of it.
Great for you.
Which, I mean, it helps, right? But it's also something where I know if I reach out to them late, I can expect it the next morning. So it gives me some time to kind of develop and figure out what I need to work on, and then we can kind of chip away at the next day. But it's a learning experience, but it's also something on the business side of it where European business is different than U.S. business. Our demand is different. The way we flow our customer service, everything is genuinely different here in the U.S. And that's another piece which we discover on a daily basis with the games and the demographic. We have clients that come in from Tokyo and Australia and Spain and Hawaii and you name it, right? So we have places from all over the world that come in for 1 or 2 days to watch Giannis, Thanasis, and Alex play. It's really cool to experience that. When we talk to them and understand them, they're in awe because this is the ultimate destination for them when they're in town. So we become that, niche.
Yeah, you're the hub.
Yeah, exactly.
And so when those players or people come in, is that something that then you gotta get that and then I'm gonna have this person coming in and you gotta bring them in? Is the family going, hey, make sure we get these guys in our gear and get them to where you gotta get them all dressed up?
So the nice thing is if even if you go online and Google it, we have a really good way of doing business. We're not a pressured retail business. We're not a self-serve kind of business. We're an interesting business in the sense that we want to know our customers. We want to know where they're from, what they're doing in town, who they're shopping for, what are they doing the rest of the day, right? If they're visiting from Chicago and they're going for the game, that game's in 6 hours. Well, where are they going to go eat? So we kind of give them recommendations, kind of understand who they are. There's kids with them. We have fun. We shoot the ball around inside the store. We play, whatever the case might be. It's something unique for every individual, but it's not something where it's saying, hey, you know what? Anybody that comes in, we have to convert them to a sale. We organically just enjoy talking to the people around us. We have a good time, and we hope that they buy because they fall in love with us as individuals representing the brand and the family. But ultimately, the quality of product is so nice. My kids, I have 3 kids that wear this stuff on a daily basis, which they become little marketing aspects, but it's something where they can wear this and not feel like it's, something they have to put on or something that's promotional or something that's I have to get it because we're a part of the store.
Now, you guys do have a lot of products there, and it's more than just shoes, but shoes are a big part of it. We're going to talk about some of the things that you can get at AntetokounMbros when we come back on Joshing Around Milwaukee. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone, to Joshing Around Milwaukee. Josh Albrecht here. Our guest, Nemo Ruparel, is with me from AntetokounMbros, and we just talked about the store has so many awesome things, and if people are listening or if they haven't been to the store because they're like, I'm not a big sneakerhead, I'm not really sure. I mean, first of all, you guys get shoes before anyone else, so if you're looking for the Giannis shoes, that's the place to be. But that's not all you guys have. For one, you have the gummies. You have the free gummies. Talk to me about the gummies and just some of the other awesome things that you can get at AntetokounMbros.
Yeah, so gummies is a great example. So right around All-Star break, There was a big marketing campaign, but it was a
Oh,
big.
there sure
it was.
was.
A big, so Steph Curry. I mean, you had everybody eating them. Steph Curry was probably the biggest, most noteworthy person that was kind of eating them, right?
Giannis is just passing them out to people as if it's Halloween, and he's just like, "Here, have a gummy."
I mean,
you're in the middle of a presser. Have a gummy.
Absolutely, it was cool to see it, and as once again, as a parent, a person that's like buying stuff, I read ingredients. These are really cool in a sense. There's no added dyes in it. There's 8 grams of protein per bag. There's no weird ingredients where you like, oh, I don't know what this means. So it's a cool piece, but it's a high quality gummy. Giannis, from what I was told from Candy Funhouse, he's an owner within Candy Funhouse that made this candy essentially for the last year or so. They've been working on it, and this is something where he had hands-on experience trying things out and kind of figuring out what he likes and doesn't like. So it's something where Giannis approved.
I love it, and that's a big thing because when the gummies were first promoted, I mean, Milwaukee loves Giannis. And so if Giannis is willing to do something, a lot of people get behind it and they want it. But they might not have known that they could go to the store to get the gummies. A lot of people were like, a lot of the other sources were saying you go online, here's how you can order them online. Well, if you don't want to and then wait, you can go down to the store and buy a bag and literally get them right then and there.
Yeah, so we're the only retailer outside of Candy Funhouse's platform online. We're the only retailer that physically sells them. We are available online as well through us, but we're the only physical shop. So if you're going to a game, you're downtown, you have friends and family that are in town, like this is a cool piece that you can't really get anywhere else besides AntetokounMPros.
So what else can you get in the store if you're not looking for a pair of sneaks?
Yeah, we have a little bit for everybody. So whether you're a kid on a budget or parents are trying to get some small little pieces to go back on from a trip that they're visiting Milwaukee from, you can get T-shirts, men's, women's, kids. We have socks, we have bracelets, we have lanyards, pens. So we have little small things. We have basketballs for those fans. We have the shoes. And then we also have things coming up in the future too. So like right now, we're lining up for our spring-summer collection. So shorts and lighter garments. We carry obviously Bucks, Giannis jerseys. So a little bit for everybody. So whether it's candy, Sweet Tooth, or something from Milwaukee, we are that spot.
Yeah, it's awesome. There's so many different things to go. Truly, if you have not been to the store, you're missing out. And there's so much to do in the Deer District. It's right there. And so it's not like you're driving way out of your way. You're already downtown. Perfect spot for it, right in the Trade Hotel. I mean, it's awesome. It's a good spot to go to. And I want to make sure, Nemo, before we let you go, I want to make sure that we talk again about that 3D shoe printing competition that you were doing through Milwaukee Swap. So tell us again about that and when that's happening.
So actually, it's going to be we're going to work with MPS directly and AntetokounMPros as like a partner for judging.
Okay, got it.
So Milwaukee Swap is like my touch on like what I love shoes. So that's kind of what drew me to be motivated and kind of like, push through and kind of figure out ways to get the pieces that I want and collect and then now be able to.
Well, you're going to recruit some of these guys into that. This is the future of Milwaukee. They're building the shoes.
I mean, the cool thing is with basketball culture and sport, like just anything that is kind of the mix for a high schooler, almost everything is represented with shoes. Whether you're into just more minimal black and white, or you like the bright colors, or you're a basketball player, or you're a football player. Everybody loves sneakers, whether it's this or that. So it's kind of cool to see what people's the students' thoughts on like designing it. But this is something where kids get to be creative, they get to have fun. But also get recognized for the hard work that they're putting in. But yeah, maybe one day, that's something that they can work at Nike or Adidas or whatever the case might be, where they get to be, a part of the design process for what people are wearing on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, and they got their start because of that competition. So if the kids or if people want to find out more about that, where should they go? How do they get information about the competition?
So for this time around, we haven't made it public in a sense of where anybody and everybody can come, just because it's something we're trying for the first time.
Sure.
So currently, this is going to be just initially going to be closed off for the students.
But to see the results.
So we're going to work on some content afterwards. So once again, with Visit Milwaukee and some other partners, Moto3 is going to help, like I said, judge and give some prizes along with AntetokounMPros. We're going to hope to get some content and put it out there, and reach out to you guys and Visit Milwaukee to see if we can get that content for the public. But this is something where it's the first off, so hopefully it works really well. The kids are excited. We have some cool and fun designs to the point that we can get more people involved and maybe open this up to the public next year.
Okay, and then if people can't get down to the store, or maybe someone from outside of the city or state and they're not able to come in now, if they're trying to get some of the AntetokounMPros gear, where do they go?
So, like, once again, if you're in the U.S., www.antetokounbros.us. I know it's kind of long, but it's AntetokounBros.us. Once you get it, you'll get it. But we have a U.S. and a .com. .com is for anybody outside the U.S. .us will be for us here in the U.S. One thing I do want to mention too, like, some of the projects and stuff like that we work on with students, we have stickers and, for example, here I hand you that, but essentially is, some stickers that students have made, and, we have different things that, they have different projects, and these are the students at NPS that, put in the effort and thoughts to create something different for Bucks colors or holidays or different events coming up as well.
Very, very cool. So many awesome things that you guys do with the community. Obviously, we're so lucky to have Giannis, lucky to have you, lucky to have AntetokounBros. Thanks so much for joining us today, man.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, this is awesome. For more information on Joshing Around, as always, go to visitmilwaukee.org. All right, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in for this episode of Joshing Around Milwaukee. As always, if you're seeing this part of the show, it means that you're watching or listening on one of Visit Milwaukee's social media platforms, and we truly do appreciate it. We're having a great time today with our guest, Nemo. Nemo, this is usually the part where the other Josh Albrecht asks his big question. I get to do it today. I'm very excited about that. But we often say that Milwaukee has fresh city vibes. There's always something new, something fun going around in the city of Milwaukee. So we want to know what in Milwaukee is giving you fresh city vibes.
Yeah, I mean, with the upcoming summer here and having kids, like, we're always running around doing something. So, I mean, we don't really plan a lot of things just because of games and sports and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The Deer District, I think this summer is going to be great. There's going to be a lot of events going on in the plaza. Obviously, AntetokounMpo is right across the street in the Deer District.
Yeah.
But restaurants like the New Fashion is always popular and fun with the kids. Also, along with that, like the festivals throughout the summer, Summerfest. I know the kids want to go see some acts, so I think we might check out Summerfest. But that's probably, I'd say, the biggest one is Summerfest.
Yeah. How often, though, in the Deer District, like with the kiddos, like how often are you like bringing them over to the plaza and hanging out over there?
I mean, I like to work and stay busy, but the kids love being a part of it. So when we get something new or something different, they always want to check it out in person as opposed to online or pictures.
Sure.
So I in the summer months, I try to drive by or check in or whatever, and kind of show the kids the new shoes or the new items, whatever's in. But we also like to walk around. It's such a nice and breezy area where you get a lot of wind.
True.
So it's just something fun to walk around and experience.
I feel like the Deer District isn't like, there's a lot of it that people don't realize, like, just how great it is that the Deer District exists, and like the venues that are popping up there, and the food and the shopping, and there's just so many different things in an area where, as you pointed out earlier, like when we were growing up here in Milwaukee, it was like there's the Bradley Center, or you were going to UWM Panther Arena, but like that was it. Like you were going in for those reasons, and then you were getting out of that area. Even if you were staying downtown, that area was essentially just go to the game, get out of that area. And so it's just been so cool to see how the Deer District has transformed into what it is, and just been another highlight for the city.
Yeah, I mean, with the Deer District too, like, it's going to continue to grow and develop, and being here for 2.5 years with the store, physically seeing it change on a monthly basis. I know there's going to be a lot more activations this summer. With the World Cup coming up, I'm sure there's some fun activations going on. Basketball season for AAU's in full force, so there's going to be some fun off-season stuff going on there. But on a monthly basis, I know there's going to be some activities and activations for families. There's a lot of parking too, so I think it's a fun, safe, and ideal location for anybody to come check out as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. The store is great. We appreciate you coming on, bud. It's been an awesome time, and we'll make sure to catch up again soon.
Thank you so much.
All right, and thank you again for tuning in for this episode of Joshing Around Milwaukee. As I mentioned before, if this is your first time seeing Joshing Around, you can learn more about it at visitmilwaukee.org. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.
Two Joshes are better than one.